Welcome back to the Reseller Journey podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be doing a follow up to actually last week's episode, going over some of the key changes that I've been making in my business to help me avoid slower sales in the future. I want to go over these keys because I want them to be able to help you guys whenever you are going through a rut in your reselling business. I believe it is these keys here that can help us sustain us through the ups and downs, whatever's happening in the economy or whatever's happening on eBay. I believe that these keys are going to help us stay committed to our vision and help us eventually reach our goals. And if you guys want your question answered during this podcast, just drop them in the comment section. I'm here to help you guys as much as I can, provide you with as much value. So if you have a question about your reselling business and I don't cover it in this episode, just drop it in the comments and I'll circle back to it. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into this. I think it's going to be really helpful for you guys. Grab a pen and paper, jot down some keys, and I know it's going to be helpful for you for the next time you guys maybe have a little bit of a stumbling block in your reselling business. So I have this quick presentation set up for you guys. These are kind of the key things that I believe all resellers should be focusing on. That's really just some key principles that I think that are going to help you guys with whatever you may be going through in your reselling business. Maybe you didn't have a summer slowdown at all, and maybe you were just kept grinding away. But there was a majority of people who specifically on eBay were having a little bit of a hard time in July. So these keys and principles are going to help you guys sustain and keep committed to your vision. So step one, I would say, is assessing your risk tolerance and set a budget. Because sometimes resellers can spend maybe a little bit too much on inventory and not really know the numbers behind what they're actually setting themselves up for. If you're spending too much on inventory and you're only bringing in $200-$300 a week, but you spent $500 a week on inventory, then I would say pump the brakes, really reanalyze on how much you're making per item, how much is your cost of goods, how much are you actually making after fees, after taxes. You don't need to be a numbers person, but there are a few numbers you do need to know in your business to be able to set a budget and know your risk tolerance. It's fun as it is to go out sourcing all the time. We really need to have discipline and restraint on when to be stocking up and when to be selling through and liquidating some of our older items. So starting a reselling business can be risky, so it's important that we understand your risk tolerance before diving in. Take some time to think about how much you're willing to sacrifice from your current lifestyle to make it all work. Are you comfortable with the possibility of making less money in the short term? Are you able to handle the stress of uncertainty and potential setbacks? So once you have a good understanding of your risk tolerance, it's time to set a budget. Make sure your budget covers essentials like rent, bills, groceries, but also cuts down on unnecessary luxuries. It's important to be realistic about your financial situation so you can avoid overspending and putting yourself in a tough spot later on. This is why I always suggest, when people ask, when is it a good time to go full time? When is it a good time to quit my job? I just say as long as you can hold on to that job and do your reselling business on the side, as long as you could do that for as long as possible, I suggest doing that first, because as I know we all probably don't like our jobs in one way or another, and we do want to get into becoming our own business. But to really make reselling work, the first year, the first 2 years, especially if you have no experience, is really going to be trial and error. You're going to be figuring out what types of items are in abundance in my area. What types of items do I even want to sell? So I think that if you are going to make the jump into going all in reselling, you want to be able to have at least 1 year's worth of expenses covered in case you make no sales at all in reselling, which won't happen. But let's just say, hey, you have a hard time getting your feet off the ground. Save up 1 year's worth of expenses. This is what I did. I had several years saved up of expenses before I even got into reselling. But I do suggest, if you're just starting out, to keep your part-time or your full-time job as long as possible, and then you see your income from your reselling business start to outweigh your 9 to 5. That's going to be the indicator of like, okay, maybe I could go down to 20 to 30 hours a week at my 9 to 5 and start to put a little bit of more time into my reselling business. So I just say that as step one, because I think that a lot of beginners out there think that they could just make it happen. But I'll say that with all the coaching and all the principles and everything, my whole experience was I learned by going through it and doing it. We could all watch millions of YouTube videos. We could all listen to thousands of podcasts, but it's really when I learned the most was actually going out and doing it, going out and doing the sourcing, checking the comps, learning about brands, learning about what to leave behind and what to pick up. I'm still learning that. So I think that when you're just starting out, though, you really got to understand that this is going to be more than just listing stuff on eBay, setting it and forget it. There's a whole different dynamic when it comes to reselling, with more and more competition happening, with thrift stores raising their prices. It's not as easy as it sounds, and it is a very skillful and diligent work. You got to really know some of the tools that you're going to be wanting to use in your business, and it just comes from experience. That's how I kind of went through it. I did, get some coaching. I did all the things that I could do to set myself up for success, but I really needed to go through it. I needed to go and spend the time out in the field learning about what I even wanted to sell. So step 2 is going to be start with what you know. So I got into DVDs and books when I first started reselling. It's because that's what I kind of knew. I didn't know anything about clothing when I started reselling. So I needed to really take my time to learn a lot of the principles. So don't overlook the power of your existing knowledge. Begin with the items you have a deep understanding of. Whether it's outdoor gear, video games, toys, leveraging your expertise will get you a head start in the reselling business. This is why I suggest when you just start out, start selling the things that aren't being used around your house. So you start getting used to the platform. You already are familiar with those items because you had them in your home. Well, hopefully you're somewhat familiar with them. So you could start liquidating some of that money that you have tied up into stuff you're not using, and now you could start taking that money and actually invest it into something you could see yourself reselling. But don't stop there. Be curious and stay up to date with trends in the area of your interest. Attend trade shows, read industry news, and network with other resellers to learn more about what is selling and what is not. As you gain experience and knowledge, don't be afraid to expand into new niches. Just make sure to do your research and understand the market before investing too much time and money. Remember, the more you know, the more successful your reselling business can be. This is why I'm such a stress for learning. You must learn trends. You must learn what is in demand, what is there too much supply of, so you can really capitalize and strategize your business around those trends. So would it be a good idea for me to pick up stuff that's out of trend right now? Probably not. So that is why we really got to stay focused on the items that we are selling and become masters of what we sell. I do not encourage people to sell things they do not like, because it's going to be hard for you to really gain some love for the items that you're selling. It's if you do not like comic books, but you're selling comic books, it's going to be hard for you to really be more up to date on the trends within that niche, right? So this is why I say pick something that you generally like. Like, I don't love clothes, but I don't hate them either. So definitely, draw that fine line and standard for you with what you want to sell. And maybe you're an everything seller. That's great. Be an everything seller. If that's what makes you happy, do it. So there's nothing wrong with staying an everything seller. It's just like, can you manage the growth? Can you manage shipping out 15 glass plates a day, or shipping out a football helmet and a golf club and a football helmet and cleats, all these different things. So there's benefits to both, right? But yeah, step 2 is starting with what you know. So that's what I did when I first started. I had tons of DVDs. I had tons of books all ready to be sold that weren't being read, weren't being used. So as I kind of went down that path, I learned how to use the platform. I learned how to track cost of goods, learn about what my average sale price was, learn about how much I was making after all the fees and the shipping. Once you get that down, you're like, okay, do I want to stay in this niche, or do I want to move on to another niche that's maybe going to be a little bit more profitable? So I want to get into the chat because I know you guys got questions. And if you have questions anytime during this podcast, just drop them down below. I will circle back to your questions. I'm here to just bring as much value as I can for you guys. And I appreciate you all showing up time and time again. Josh in the house. So you probably saw the title, explosive sales on eBay. What happened? I'm going to get into what exactly happened in my store and what I'm doing in my business that I feel contributed to an uptick in sales recently. So we'll circle back to that. But for example, Josh has a big store as well. I think it's like 10, 15,000 items. He sells media, a little bit of everything, but he says, yes, he is back up to $1,000 days. I'm averaging between $500 and $600 sales days for like the whole year. And when I'm dropping below $400, $300 days in sales, which I did have a few last month, that is definitely a sign to be like, what's going on? We're used to 500. We're used to 600. Why do I got 343 today? So those are the things that I was definitely keeping track of so I can reanalyze my business. And I thank God for it, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be making these changes in my business. So I'll touch on those changes a little bit later in the video. But yeah, very good, Josh. Happy to see you. Paul says, hello, everyone. What's going on? Chris says, great work. Appreciate you. Yosef, sup, buddy? How you been? Doing well. Back from church. Yosef says, I wanted to ask you this book. You will help me with both men and women's clothing. The book that you see behind me, that's blurry. I'll just grab it. So this guide was created for the entire clothing item specifics on eBay. So there's over 130 pages in here. So every piece of clothing that's on eBay that has an item specific is found in this book with definitions and photos to help you guys really learn about what you're selling. Really easy to read. It's simple. Joggers, khakis, dress pants, capris, cargo, carpenter, chino. Knowing those definitions are going to help you guys really master the items you're selling, as well as learning about women's clothing. There's a good opportunity in women's clothing. I think a lot of people are kind of, I wouldn't say, it's more discouraging, I guess, because it's not as easy as men's clothing, right? Women's clothing, there's a lot of variation. So that book will help you at least get a good foundation understanding of what it is within women's clothing and what items do I want to specifically put into my store. You should have saw me when I first started. I didn't know anything about women's clothing, let alone men's. So learning about women's clothing is going to take more time. But I do believe that book will help you at least get started in the initial keywords and learning about what the different sleeve types are, the different dress types. We could go on. We can literally just do an entire podcast about that, but we won't do it here, maybe in the future. But yes, Yosef, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. You show great support. Workers' comp, and I want this business to start working in 6 months. Yeah, that's good. That's good to have that goal, but it could take longer. It could take 2 years. It could take a year. We want things to work in a desired amount of time. This is why I do believe so much in just trying to learn as much as possible about the things that you want to sell. We may want things to work in 6 months, but that may be hard if you're not willing to put in the effort, right? So Yosef, you says, I'm getting to clothing, video games, and books. Okay, awesome. Yosef, you said, I appreciate I literally bought video games aren't selling. Yeah, there are only certain games that are ones that you want to be putting in your store. That's for sure. Jay Wright says, "How's Poshmark going?" So I'm still working out a deal with Vendu to be able to cross list some of my items. I haven't decided whether I want to take all 10,000 of my items and put them on Poshmark, or just do their highest plan. There's like an enterprise plan that's like a custom plan for people with want to transfer over more than just a few thousand items. Or I could just start out with their top tier plan, which I think is 4,000 items for 150 a month. So I'm still figuring that out. But there are people in the Patreon that have started doing more of the cross listing and are seeing pretty decent results. So we'll see. I'm going to keep you guys up to date with what's going on there. I'm hopeful. I think that having more eyes on items, how is that a bad thing? Unless I'm paying $3,000 a month for Vendu or some cross-listing service. I want to keep the costs low as far as cross-listing all that stuff, and I want to keep the time that I'm spending cross-listing at a bare minimum. So if I can hit those two check marks, I'm going to just share with you guys what's going on there. But yeah, appreciate you coming in, Jake. I think I'm going to be doing Poshmark, Mercari, and Depop is where all of those items are going to get cross-listed too. We'll see how that goes. Yosef, you said, how J Ride flips good videos. How long have you been doing it? Yeah, I think he's been doing it for a good 2 years now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it's somewhere around that 2 years for Jake. Paul says, how much do you leverage custom software in your reselling? Using Python has been amazing for me to automate a huge portion of my listings and bookkeeping. Yeah, so I am all about, learning about as far as no code and AI and using a programming language to be able to help me, in my business. But the thing is, I don't know how to program, and I don't know, how to read script and write script, though I will use AI to help me to a certain extent with research and things like that. Yeah, but you're getting to a point now where you're seeing like plugins for a lot of this no code stuff. So there's going to be a plugin for you to just take all your bookkeeping, run it through AI, and it's just going to give you every piece of data that you want, So I am all about it, but I think I'm going to be patient a little bit more as far as the advancement with AI and the no-code tools that are coming up for people like me to get involved, because I don't really want to be spending too much time learning Python and all of these other scripts if we see this advancement in AI. But it is a beautiful time to be alive. I believe that, CPAs by themselves are going to have a harder time, but CPAs that use AI will be able to have a much greater advantage versus people like CPAs that don't use AI. So for bookkeeping, I think it's going to be great. For getting better tax advantages, it's going to be great. I'm all about it. I can go on for a while about how excited I am when it comes to technology and the advancement. I do believe here in the next year or sooner, doing our listings is going to be a thing in the past. There's going to be pro apps and plugins out there where you're going to be able to just take your photos, run them through the app. It's going to be able to analyze it from the tag, material contents to the style. It's going to know if it's men's or women's. It's going to be able to just do the listing for you at like little to no cost. So that is exciting. Paul, you brought up a great topic. Future podcast episode, possibly. Paul, you said, also, does anyone here sell on their own website, maybe in addition to cross-listing? I've debated that. The only reason I don't is because I'm going to have to pay for a lot of marketing. So Facebook ads, doing a lot of Google ads, getting traffic to my site. But it would be interesting for someone to do that as an experiment. I don't know if anyone does have experience of just selling their own product or their own, branded products. I like eBay for that reason, is that they spend the marketing, they do it all, and we get to just list items. But that would be interesting down the road to eventually do. Great Deals Depot says, book is kinda like real life. Men pretty easy, women So many variations. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. When it comes to women's clothes, it's a whole nother world. It's not like men's, and but that also is good too because there's less um there's a higher barrier to entry. It's like if you just do a little bit of research than the next person, like just spend a day learning about the different tops, different styles, different dresses, what sells best within women's clothing, what doesn't sell best, and you will already be like 90% ahead of the next person. So it won't take too much more, just takes a little bit of studying and learning about, do I even want to do this? But I will say, women's clothing is the easiest to find. It's so easy. You walk anywhere and you can find women's clothing for sale. So that is why I really like clothing. Is there seems to be an abundance out there. Um, Yosef, you said I'll buy it because I'm selling on Poshmark, Mercari, and eBay, and now Amazon. Nice. I'm sorry, this darn phone. Do you think Amazon is worth selling used items? I hear Amazon keeps people off. Yeah, Amazon definitely going to need a little bit more capital, and you're going to need to be selling new items. So, Amazon's definitely more capital intensive. So let's say I need to spend $100,000 a year on inventory to make $1,000,000 a year in sales on Amazon, and my profit is $250,000. So your margins are a lot smaller on Amazon. So you do need to pay a little bit more to play that game, but people do great. So it's just, I love eBay because I think I've spent $14,000 this year on inventory, and we've done a little over $105,000 in sales for the year. So that's a really nice, comfortable margin for me with the amount of time that I'm putting into eBay. So, but Amazon's great too. J-Ride, yeah, so you've been reselling for just under 2 years. Yeah. Yeah, go check out his channel. He does some good stuff. Yosef says, I appreciate your believer in Messiah as well. Maybe I can connect on Instagram. Yeah, if any of you guys want to connect with me, and I appreciate that comment. Yes, thank you. I'm going to be speaking about what I value, my faith. That's just my beliefs, and if it's not for you guys, I'm sorry. But this is how God has been impacting my life, complete transformation, and praise the Lord. I would not be here today right here helping you guys if it wasn't for God working in me to be able to really become a person of value so I can help you guys. But yeah, praise the Lord. And if you want to get a hold of me, best would be on Instagram or email bo@bojohnson.org. That's an email you can respond to, though it may take me a while. Paul says the no-code app builders are harder than just learning to code, in my opinion. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in that sector. Software as a service. You see AAA, AI, automation agencies. Things are crazy right now in the technology sphere, but it's great because with the advancement of how fast it's moving, it's going to help us with a lot of processes as resellers. So, the old ways of doing things like as we did them, for the last few years are coming to an end, which can be good or bad. I think bad for people that don't accept change and don't want to be able to learn about all of this AI and tech stuff going on. That's going to be hard for you guys to just put that aside and continue doing what you're doing because the world is changing more than it's ever changed ever before right now. So change is good, but we got to make sure we initiate the change we want to see as well. Yosef, you said, what's Depop, this site? Can you do a video on this site possibly? So I have no experience with Depop. All I know is that it's more generated towards the youth and more vintage seller or vintage buyers, vintage resellers. I'm going to give it a try, see what happens, but that's as far as I can help you there because I have not sold anything on Depop. Gem Drop says, do you know if someone's store can be turned off? I literally created a listing after a buyer wanted to combine items together to get discounted shipping, and it could not be found even with the item number. You can turn your store on time away mode, and that pretty much turns your store off, but I don't know why you'd want to turn it off. Yeah, so I don't know. You have to clarify a little bit more on that gem drops. You said you created a listing, and then after a buyer wanted to combine items together to get discounted shipping, it could not be found even with the item number. Make sure that they didn't pay already, because you won't be able to find it if they paid. So go into your waiting shipment page and see if you can find that, and maybe they already paid. So that could be a good way to find it. But yeah, Yosef says, I pray that Yahweh can help me as well. Please pray. Yah bless my business, please, brother. Yeah, prayer. I mean, nothing cannot, God cannot work in your life without you asking, right? It's the ask and you shall receive principle. You must ask for help. You can't expect for things to happen if you don't ask your source. So ask and it shall be given. But it also takes our part as far as working. That's why I don't believe that God gives things. He gives ideas. He gives you ideas so you can put those ideas into action. And remember, you're going from the unseen to the seen, right? You're pulling ideas from the unseen. Everything that you see in your life, if you're sitting at a computer, if you're sitting in a chair, if you're sitting around, look around all of the things where you're sitting right now. They were all first an idea in someone's mind that was pulled from the unseen that were made seen. Every idea is pulling something from the unseen to the seen. Chairs, tables, footballs. I don't know why I've been on the sports thing lately, but everything that you see pulled from the unseen to the seen. So what's the idea that you have? And how are you going to put that into action? How are you going to get people to see your idea? Because right now, the only one that knows your idea is you. So you need to manifest those ideas. It's so important. The world needs what you have. I believe that every person has a bestseller inside their heart. Every person. And if you do not believe so, you need to believe it to be true. If you don't believe it, I don't know what to tell you. So that is kind of my point of view with getting these ideas put into action. I get ideas all the time in my business, and I'm fearful. What should I do? I always try them, knowing with the expectation, expect the best, but prepare for the worst. This may not work. I picked up 20 bags of clothes yesterday or 2 days ago for the clothing recycling company that we're doing, and there's maybe one bag in all 20 of those that were even worth it. So while that might been a good idea to start, I'm starting to think maybe I'm going to start focusing in another direction, because I'm spending all the time driving around, picking up the bags. Maybe I should just start paying up a little bit more for my items. So not every idea is going to be a good God idea, but it is up to you that you put that idea into action. So Yosef, if you have an idea, you're starting your business, keep going, keep acting on your ideas. Yosef, you said, will you come out with a book on vintage clothes next, please? Yeah, possibly. I don't sell a lot of vintage clothes, so I sell modern mall brand clothing. Not the most exciting, but maybe I could do a collab with one of you guys out there. But yeah, as far as other books in the works, there will be more in the works for sure. Gem Drop says, the item could not be found. I searched for it on my own. I had to go to my email notifications to get the direct link for the buyer. I am saying it felt like eBay turned your store off. There's been a lot of that happening. And I don't know if you've been hearing, but a lot of people have had a hard time finding their own items in their own store when they know that they're listed. So you're not the first one. I've had this experience searching in my store and not being able to find my items. So that's eBay. That's eBay for you. And I'll say, though, it's just a season. Don't be discouraged. And they are trying to fix things, though it seems like while they're trying to fix things, they're making things worse. But yeah, I've experienced things like that too. Drop down in the comments down below, what error or glitch are you dealing with on eBay right now? And we can kind of get more of this sorted out. What's going on, Jamie? Good to see you. Appreciate you. Let's get back into the topic at hand. What are some keys and principles that we could be doing to help avoid slow sales and for the next time to really stay committed to our goals and vision? So, sourcing inventory. I had to reanalyze how I sourced inventory in my business just this last month. I really needed to focus on, do I want to be bringing in wholesale? Do I want items shipped to my house? Do I want to continue buying bulk bales? Do I want to go out to more thrift stores? Do I want to do storage units? As a reseller, there are so many ways to source, but it is my belief truly that your reselling life is only as good as your sourcing life. So if you are having a hard time in your reselling business, maybe you need to go out one more day extra a week to go out and source. Maybe you need to develop another strategic plan to be able to find the goods. So this is one thing that I looked at in my business. What are some things that I could be doing better? And I looked at my sourcing. I said, well, if I'm getting the least amount of sales I've ever gotten this whole year in the month of July, I'm going to reanalyze and look at the thing that's the most important in my business, and that's sourcing. So how can I maybe pay an extra $1 for my cost of goods, $2 for my cost of goods to really get better items into my store? So that's something that I'm continuing to work on. And it will lead us to that next topic of exactly what happened with generating more sales this last week. But we'll finish this up first. Step 3, we're sourcing more inventory. So sourcing different inventory, higher average sale price inventory. So now that you know, and maybe you're a beginner and you've been figuring out what you want to sell, it's time to actually go and source the inventory for the things that you want to actually list in your store. There are many ways to find items to sell, and it's important to explore different avenues to find the best deals and build a diverse set of inventory. One option is to visit thrift stores and garage sales. We all know this. These can be great sources of undervalued items that you can resell for a profit. Don't be afraid to haggle over prices and keep an eye out for items that are in high demand. A good thing that to bring up, when you're out sourcing at yard sales or garage sales is, and you do see a few items that you like, you can always tell the person, can I make a pile over here? Can I make a pile over there? Then you know that, hey, then they know that you are there to do business. You're not there just to buy a couple things. So if you see a few things at a yard sale or a garage sale, the first thing I ask the person is I say, can I make a little pile over here? Can I make a pile over there? So that opens them up with the idea of that I'm going to be buying more than what you see in this pile, and then maybe we can negotiate a price. So another option is to attend estate sales and auctions. So this is something you've heard me talk about, is storage unit auctions and doing more estate sales. So these can be a bit more competitive, but they can also yield you high quality items that are harder to find elsewhere. Be sure that you do your research ahead of the time so you know what's up for auction and what to expect in terms of pricing. So I went to an estate sale 2 weeks ago and I found a vest. It was a RDIF, kind of a airplane type vest called a Scott vest, Scott E-vest. Very, very nice, tons of pockets. Lady sold it for me for $2, and I just accepted a best offer for $89 plus shipping. So things like that, you don't know what you're going to go out when you find, what you're going to get into when you go to estate sales. I had no idea what I was walking into, but already sold one of those items that's going to pay for everything I purchased at that estate sale. So that's the beautiful thing about estate sales, but you're probably going to need to go to a few of them before you end up finding the goods. So that's why I don't really make them a prominent way I source, because I list 50 items a day. So I need about 350 items a week to be able to sustain this business. So I see yard sales and estate sales and storage units are just the fun parts to my business. Those are the things that I just do for fun, do with the family. But the bulk of my inventory comes from either a bulk bale from Parker, Ghost Town Outfitters, shout out Parker, or my friend Andy, who also does wholesale as well. So those are the ways that I get the majority of my inventory, and then everything else is fun, because I got to go out. I love going out and treasure hunting. I know many of you do as well. And I'm not going to stop that part of my business because I like to have fun. I think having fun in your business is top 3 important. If you're not having fun, don't do this. It's meant to be fun. If you do this for the money, I guarantee you're going to be burnt out. one who loves money never has enough. So if you're getting into this to make money and that's your only main focus, it's going to be hard. You're going to get burned out. I take great joy and great pleasure in having fun. This is a fun business, and I think it's important that we treat it like a fun business. I didn't get out of my 9 to 5 job to get into a worse type of job, right? Because reselling is basically a job. We work for eBay or Poshmark or Mercari. I didn't do that to have less fun, so I'm going to have as much fun as I can. So online platforms like eBay, Amazon, Facebook can also be great sources of inventory. Use your knowledge of your niche to search for specific items and set up alerts so you're notified when new items are listed. Yes. So I use Facebook Marketplace in my business quite a bit. A big change in my business was when, about this time last year, I posted an ad in local buy and sell groups saying that I would go, "We buy clothes," and then I had a brand list there. I had storage unit managers reach out to me, and that is how my business basically transformed in the span of 1 month, because I was able to now source much higher quality items, sourcing a more of an unconventional way through posting basically an ad in buy and sell groups locally to my area. So I was able to bring in much better quality items while pretty much remaining around my average cost of goods for the year. So I encourage you guys to go to your local buy and sell groups on Facebook, create an ad on whatever you're trying to pick up, toys, video games, sports cards, whatever it is. Create a little quick ad on Canva and post them in these groups. They're free. It's probably not going to be your main source of how you get inventory, but it can be a great source that can change your life. So that is what I did on Facebook Marketplace. I actually didn't even do Facebook Marketplace. I did those local buy and sell groups that are free to post in. Not every post will be approved in those groups, so keep that in mind. So finally, don't forget to utilize your connections and network with other resellers. They may have tips and tricks for finding great deals, and they may be even willing to sell you items of their own inventory. Remember, sourcing inventory is a crucial step in building a successful resale business. Stay curious and keep exploring new avenues to find and build a diverse set of inventory. So we'll get into step 4 in just a minute, but yeah, that just brings me up and reminds me my friend Marcus with Dixon's Pickens. Last week, he just bought out another reseller's eBay store, 400 plus items, and that is the best part about networking, reaching out to people that are in your area, whether it's through Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and being able to pick their brain either on processes or if they're thinking about shutting down shop, maybe you'd want to buy some of their inventory. So that can be great. You do see it from time to time. I know I do here in my local area. You see reseller bundle, reseller lot, and then you see, like on Facebook Marketplace, and then you see, I stopped selling on Poshmark. I'm selling all my items. Come pick them up, $2 a piece. So that can be another great way, but it's also going to be a way for, it's not going to be a consistent thing. But with people quitting and leaving the platform more than they ever have before, you may want to start seeing if you could pick up some of those other people's items while they're dropping out. So, Whisker Pickens, what's going on? Good to see you. I'm 6 months in listing 5 per day and selling 3 to 5 per day, slowly growing the business, and I appreciate your content and all the helpful tips. Yeah, keep going. You are closer than you think you are, my friend. Just keep doing what you're doing. Base card collector. I found a Scott E vest at the bins. Good money. Yes. If you guys aren't familiar, it's like a travel vest. They got like 15 different pockets. When you pick them up, and if you picked up thousands of pieces of clothing, oh, this is quality. Like, it's well made. You can just feel it in your hands. I picked up 2 recently. One sold for $89, and I have one listed for $99. The bigger sizes sell better. But yeah, that is a great little bolo to be looking out for. Jamie says, yep, fun. Whisker Pickens, have you ever bought out a storage unit and been super disappointed with the contents? Yeah, I bought a few out recently. And I wasn't disappointed. I was more of like, people store trash in these units. You may find 3 good bags of clothes, and then 8 of them are terrible and then 2 bags of trash. So you got to be really open to that. Storage units is really, really hard work, and I'm not opposed to hard work at all. But if I'm going to be working hard, I really need to know how much am I getting paid per hour here? Am I moving dressers out and jet skis and baseball caps and all these other things that I really don't sell? Am I going to be doing all that? I'm really just looking for clothes. So keep that in mind when you're buying storage units, is that you're going to be left with a bunch of other stuff that you may not want. You need to at least prepare to either take that stuff to the dump or give it to a thrift store or give it to a nonprofit. But you do need to figure out a system and a process for how you go about doing that. But there is a lot of money to be made in storage units for sure. I think there is a higher barrier to entry because not everyone has a truck. Not everyone has time to be sorting through that stuff. So if you're willing to put in the work, there is a lot of good money to be made. But yeah, you got to be really diligent and looking at the photos before you decide to make the purchase. Travis says, I started strictly to make money, but now I love going out on the hunt. I still have a day job and will run into the thrift store at lunch. That's beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Who doesn't love finding stuff that they could buy for $1 and sell for 25? That's a beautiful thing. That, you know what that is? That is you managing resources. It is my belief that God put mankind on the earth to manage the earth's resources. So basically, being a reseller is you just managing resources from people who mismanage those resources. So you don't know how many times we go to the Goodwill outlet or go to thrift stores and the items are still new with tags. So someone paid full price for that, never wore it, and now you're buying that item for $1 and you're reselling it for the profit. So that is a beautiful thing. And I love management so much. You'll hear me talk about it all the time. It is a very big principle on why I believe we were created and why I believe it's important to grow slowly. You know, as much as we want to grow fast in everything these days, we can really only sustain what we can manage. So, yeah, I really do think that going into the thrift store, that's so fun, and it should be fun because you're going in and you have the opportunity to buy something for pennies on the dollar and flipping that and being able to actually sell it to someone who's going to appreciate it too. So that is beautiful. That is why I've always loved reselling in general. Believe I've sold my first laptop on eBay like in 2006, 2007. So I was very hooked early. I wish I had continued with it. Jamie, you said that's where I originally started. Facebook and Kijiji. Yeah, Facebook's great. I think it's underrated still to this day where you can take your business and advertise. You know, you could put a paid ad out there, but I don't think that's necessary. Just type in your county, type in your city, and then type in the words buy and sell. And you're going to see tons of groups in there that will have thousands of people literally just listing stuff to sell or you come pick up. There's no worry in putting a ad out there saying, hey, I'm a local business. I support 10% to local nonprofits. Here's what I do. Here's what I'm looking for. Let's make a deal. So, Yosef, you said, how do I find local buy and sell groups? I live in Pennsylvania. Where are you from? I'm from Oregon. So Pennsylvania would be the same. Just take your town that you're in and go into the Facebook search bar and type in the town and then type in buy and sell and then sort by groups, and you'll be able to just join every single one. I would join ones that are at least over a couple thousand people in each group, and then just post what you're looking for. Anthony, you said, yesterday marked my first month, 4,300 in sales, over 142 orders. Keeping track of profit or loss per item seems to be a nightmare right now. Yeah, I would say, oh man, you know, it is a tricky one, but I think it's something we really got to be focused on when we start. We really need to know what are items selling for, how much profit are we making, how much is going to eBay, how much is going to IRS. If we don't know those things, it's going to be hard for us to scale our business because we may think we're in the profit and making money, and then at the end of the year we go, I only made $2,000 and I worked 40 hours a week, 52 weeks out of the year. You got to know your numbers, especially early on. But that is really good. $4,300 in sales in your first month. Congrats. What are you selling? Gold? No. But that's great. You got to know your numbers. Not all of them, but at least the base ones. Cost of goods, average sale price. Those are the ones that you want to keep track of. What's going on, Jared? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I hope all is well. How's your 10 a day going? What are sales like? How was your July? I want to know. Geo says, do you think doing the SKU you use for boxes work for racks? You could. I think people who do racks do, like, let's take, for example, Tech and Sports. He does the rack system, but he does it by date. So it's a date and color based system. So I'm sure that a SKU number on racks would work just as well, but there are many ways to do it when it comes to racks. Be prepared to have some space for that type of system as well. What's going on, Brian? I envy you not really having to source much, Bo. Oh, Brian, I'm sourcing now. I'm kicking it up. A bit. I personally am uninterested in sourcing. That's what you said. Yeah, you said you did not like sourcing. You do the Goodwill bins, right? I think you're in Arizona. But, yeah. Hey, I'm just going back to my own belief of, like, hey, if my reselling life, if I had the worst month in July that I had all year, I'm going to look at the thing that's the cause of that, and that's my sourcing. I was just depending on, bales and wholesale to bring in the best items, right? But I feel like that's almost more of the lazy way. I needed to go out and search for those top tier items. So that's something that I'm going to be taking you guys along with me and just showing you kind of the things that I'm going for. I may fail, and that's fine. But if I can fail and you guys can watch me fail, then maybe you learn something from that too, so you guys don't have to go down that road. But I definitely want to be exploring more of those options on the channel. Jamie says, that's awesome. Gem Drop says, how do you handle emerald, aqua, teal? Do you put blue? How about camel, khaki? Do you put brown, tan, beige? Yeah, so that's a great question. You just need to make sure that the item specific that you're choosing is correct. So aqua or teal would be blue. I would put blue as the item specific, but there's nothing wrong with putting aqua or teal in the title. Just make sure that you put that blue in the item specific. So I think you're talking caramel and khaki. Do you put brown, tan, or beige? So you can use caramel or khaki as a color. You could put brown, tan, or beige. You just really need to make sure that you're putting the right item specific. So the tan isn't an item specific. Tan is, you would put beige if it was tan. So that's how you would avoid the INADs, just making sure that you put the right item specific. Don't make up an item specific. Never make up an item specific. And if you don't know an item specific, don't put it. I felt like I said item specific quite a few times there, but that's okay. That's what I do. Yosef says, what I realized is I'm only going to sell clothes that the profit is $30 before eBay fees. Great. Instead of shirts selling for $8 to $15 like some resellers do. Yeah, that's the beautiful part about reselling is you can go whatever direction you want. Do you want to just list 5 a day and you want those items to have $100 average sale price? Or do you want to do the volume game and start selling those 1 into $8, the 1 into $5, the 1 into $10? That's not for everyone. That's more of a grind model. That's more of a hustle and grind, right? So it depends on what business model you want to do. It's not for everyone. What I do is not for everyone. Maybe doing 5 a day at $100 average sale price is not for everyone as well, because those items are harder to find. Brian, you said, I've always done strictly thrift stores. Okay. But with these young guns, yep, coming out, it's getting harder, so I'm resorting to the bins, which always has stuff. Yep, for sure. Belke Smash Flip says, what is your eBay store? Would love to check it out. If you want to message me on Instagram, I will gladly share my store. I do not promote my store on YouTube because I don't want the metrics and people going into the store and watching stuff, and it's just going to really hurt my metrics. So my bounce rate will go up. So if you guys want to know my store, just message me on Instagram and I will share it personally with you guys. But if you do enough research, you will be able to find it in one of these videos too. Jared, you said last month was 60 sales, doing 10 per day, have 13 sales for the weekend. Beautiful. That's awesome. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. You've gotten a lot better picking up stuff, especially when you first started to where you are now, and that's just a constant refinement process. So good. 60 items. Very nice. So Yosef, you said yes, but Young Guns will be back at school very soon, Brian. Hey, you got that right. School happening, coming back. When you go to the bins, you're probably seeing it be a little bit more competitive, especially during the summer. You're just going to have to find with what works for you guys. I definitely go to my bins more in the afternoon if I do go, and I just notice a lot less foot traffic during that time. And they're still rolling out bins. Anthony says, toys mostly, a lot of Lego, Pokemon, Barbies, and Rainbow High dolls and action figures. Yeah, people crush it in that niche. If you like toys and you're really good at identifying if it's vintage or if it's fake, or you just have a good back history to those items, sell them. People give those items away at yard sales. They just say, take them. But there's money to be made, especially if you really can get familiar with what to look out for. So great job. $4,300 in sales. Beautiful. Yosef, where do you source, Anthony? What's your eBay store, Anthony, so I can see it? Yeah, you want to reach out to Anthony and see if he'll help you out there. Gem Drop says, how do you handle items that are returns back to you, like the buyer did not pick up the item or the delivery address was undeliverable? Do you provide refunds or you just keep the funds? So I just had this happen. People fill out their wrong addresses all the time. It'll be returned to sender. And what I do is I just issue a full refund and I just relist the item. Unfortunately, it's just a part of the game when it comes to reselling, especially on eBay. But when it's an undeliverable address, I will just go ahead and refund them and relist the item. That's it. And if they reach out to me, I make sure that they change their address to the correct address before making the purchase again. But it's pretty rare. I have this happen maybe once a month, maybe, so that's what I do. That's how I process it. And I just relist the item. That's it. Yosef says, Anthony, what's your Instagram, bud? Jared says, I need to know how to get it on the Discord since my Patreon is paid now. Okay, nice. So you rejoin the Patreon. I will look at it after this, and we'll see what we could do to get you on. I know that I connected Discord with Patreon, so it should be able to prompt you on how to get into the Discord again. So thankfully I did that because it was hard to manage the 50-plus people in there with payments and stuff. So Whisker Pickens, can you talk about how you wrote your book? Did you compile the info and hire a designer? Exactly. So it took me about 15 hours to compile, probably like 250 item specifics, compile the definitions for. And then I actually used Midjourney to come up with all of the images for those definitions. Took like another 15 hours. And then I took all of the data, and I'm not a book designer, so I sent that off to a person that actually makes books and designs them, and they designed the whole thing. So, yeah, praise the Lord. It looks beautiful. I do, get the feedback, and I want to make it better, but I think what they did was great. So that's how it went, and more books to come in the future. So Gem Drop says, even with the shipping fees. Yeah, so I refund the shipping. Yep. It's just what I do. And like I said, happens about once a month for me. Unfortunately, just that's what happens. Another option too is you could, when they send it back to you, you can reach out to the buyer and say, do you still want your item? And if they could pay for another shipping label, to have that resent out to the correct address. So that also is what I've done before. So you're not paying more for shipping to ship it back out to them. So yeah, Anthony, you're talking to Yosef. That's great. Believe me, Yosef, you said, believe me, you and I are the same. If I have to travel to different thrift stores to find $30 clothes, worth it, right? That's up to you. There's some people like Sean with Taylor Exchange. He goes out like on a 15, 18-hour sourcing trip. So do what works for you. That's all I'm saying. You know, some people like to go out sourcing every day. Some people like to go out sourcing once a week. Do with what's going to work with you. Not everyone lives by a bunch of thrift stores, so some people need to drive further. Like Marcus Dixon needs to drive, I think, an hour and a half one way and hour and a half back just to source from his local Goodwill. So when I used to live more in the mountains down south, I had to drive 2.5 hours to get to a local Goodwill bins. So you kind of got to do whatever it takes. But to Joseph, to be able to find those higher $30 plus average sale price items, you're going to have to just source more because everyone's looking for those. So it's going to be less supply. Joseph, you said, nice. How can we connect, Anthony? Yep, you can contact Anthony. Jared says, okay, do you have my email to send me a message? Yeah, I can send you a message through Patreon or even on Discord. I can still send you a message on Discord and send you an invite that way. So, Anthony, you said no Instagram. Okay, you're talking to Joseph. Right on. So, Gem Drops. What is your listing title order? Brand, item, type, size, etc. Yep. Brand, item, gender, size. That's what it is for me. Many people do it different ways. Why I do that is because I'm in the buyer's mind when I'm creating my titles. So what are the most common search terms are buyers using? So like Nike shoes, for example. Are more people typing Nike shoes when they're searching for Nike shoes, or are they typing Nike 117307 Air Max Ultra Boost, blah 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 blah? You know, they're typing in the most common search term. So Nike shoes, men's, size 9.5. So I'm structuring my titles in that way. Levi's jeans, men's 3230. You know, I'm not really going too above and beyond when it comes to the first few words in my title. So always brand, item, gender, size. And you want to look into how eBay wants us to structure our titles because it's different. It's different for electronics. It's different for car parts, auto parts. It's different for home goods. You always do need to start with the brand first, no matter what. And I think that goes across every category for everything. So that's how I do it. How long did it take you to see consistent daily sales? Oh boy. I started out listing 5 a day, and it was books, DVDs. It probably took a good month to see listing 5 a day to actually start seeing like 1 to 2 sales a day. So, yeah. Hopefully that's not discouraging for you, but that was listing books and DVDs. So I'm sure that ranges with whatever you're listing. Anthony, you said, I don't know if I can change the name once I get my LLC in place or not, but that's the name. Okay. Joseph, how do you get deals on Facebook? Okay, you're talking to Anthony. Yeah, that's what I do. You say you tell them that you're buying bulk on the marketplace. Yeah. So yeah, you're going to want to just phrase it in the way that, you buy 500 pieces of clothing every month, put a brand list there and say, I'm happy to help either pick up some of your clothes and do it that way. But definitely a good option. Yeah, Jared, you said, okay, cool. I will contact you somehow, probably on Discord. So very good. Right on. So, Yosef, you said, will you do a book on what women and men's sneakers and shoes sell next? I won't. I won't do a book on that, and probably not even a book on vintage because I just don't sell those types of items enough to be able to really put a good book together for you guys. I'll leave that to the shoe and sneaker experts. I'll leave the vintage to the vintage experts. I'm just gonna stay in my lane with what I know. Though I will say I am going to be doing more retail arbitrage, so I am going to be doing more shoes. My whole thing for shoes is the only reason why I don't pick them up is because I don't want to be a shoe cleaner and spending too much time cleaning shoes. But I will go to TJ Maxx, Burlington, Marshalls, to pick up shoes that they're selling for much less that I can make a quick flip on eBay. So I will be doing that more and more, and you'll see it. You guys will see it. But yeah, Joseph, that's where I'm at in the book writing process for those subjects. But yeah, so I want to get and finish up this little series here, kind of more focused for beginners, but this is some keys that can help you guys really sustain yourself when you're facing maybe some slow sales during the next summer slowdown. So step 4 is developing some type of process for your listings. This is the hardest part when it comes to getting to becoming a reseller, is getting through the listings. It's not the funnest task. It's not the prettiest task. It's hard to stay focused during the listing process, but it's something that is required by us as resellers if we're going to have any shot at making any money. Some people list from their phone, some people list from their computer, but developing a listing process when you're just starting out that's going to work for you is a way that you can set yourself up to be successful in your business. For me, I've always done my work from a desktop computer, so doing that process was easy. I knew that if I was going to be listing from my phone or from a laptop and from a desktop, I needed to just stick with what worked for me the best and go with that. So if the phone is right for you, stick with the phone. That's fine. If you like doing it from a laptop, do it from a laptop. But I needed to do it from a desktop to be able to have that function as well in the most for my potential anyways. I didn't want to have my neck or back hurting doing 50 listings a day from a phone. So let's say you've got a good hold on your inventory. You've been able to now source your inventory and figure out what you're going to be selling. Now it's time to get online and start selling, because the items that you source, they ain't making you money if you don't list them. So there are many reselling platforms to choose from. You can choose eBay, Poshmark, Depop, tons of other ones. You could try Whatnot. That is another volume game that you can do as well. So each platform has its unique features and audience, so it's important that you experiment to find the right fit for your business. When creating your listings, it's important to take the time to develop a solid process. Start by taking the highest quality photos of your items. Good lighting, multiple angles are key to showing off your inventory and attracting potential buyers. Next, write a compelling title and description that clearly and concisely describes your items. Use keywords to help your items show up in search, and be sure to include any relevant information such as brand, size, and condition. You would be amazed on how many people will list their clothing on eBay and they'll forget the item type. They'll forget the brand, or they'll forget the size. Those are crucial mistakes that will either make your item take 1 month to sell by including it, or it may never sell if you never include the item type. So always going back and looking at your oldest listings first is really going to help you guys figure out, well, why isn't this selling? So make sure you put the crucial things like brand, size, and proper condition description. So as you create your listings, keep in mind that the goal is to stand out from the competition. Consider including value adds such as free shipping or bundle discounts to entice buyers. Finally, be prepared to refine your process through trial and error. Keep track of what works and what doesn't, and be willing to make changes to improve your listings and increase sales. By developing a solid process, you'll be well on your way to building a successful resale business. So there is no one right way to do it. There are many right ways, but you don't need to do a specific way that you see someone else doing it. You're going to want to do it the way that's going to work for you. So I just suggest figure out a schedule that's going to work for you. Figure out a system and a process that's going to work for you. Some people, they take their photos all on one day and then they do the listings all through the week. That's great. Some people take their photos and then they do their listings the next day. Some people do them right after they do their photos. It's just important that you get the task done. So if you can set yourself up for success and do the things that are actually going to help you to make sure that you complete that task, that is what's going to be right for you. Just make sure that you need to get the task done. So, want to get back in the chat. Anthony, you said some people just want their stuff gone, others just want top dollar. Just make many offers as you can to people. Yeah, I was just actually at a yard sale right after church. It's a Sunday. The lady says, "Can you come buy more?" After I already kind of picked out the best items, and it just kind of kind of made me evaluate, a lot of people on Sundays, if you see them doing yard sales, 9 out of 10 of those yard sales, they're going straight to Goodwill to drop those items off. So maybe you can figure out some kind of strategy, especially with estate sales too. Start handing out cards and saying, hey, I'll come and pick this up for you for free. I'll pay you $1 an item, whatever. And then you could start getting your hand on a little bit more inventory. But I do generally find on the third day and on those last day of estate sales or yard sales, the items are so-so. They're not as good, right? And that's the whole point of this podcast in particular, was like not putting junk into your store. You want to put the best stuff that you can. So while you may still be able to find good stuff doing it that way. Kathleen, you said when you have an item on sale 25% off, do you also send offers on top of that? Yep. So when I do my markdown sale, let's say I have a 20% off markdown sale for items over 120 days old, I'll still send out what my coupon is. So I run a 20% off coupon, so I'll send out offers 20% of the coupon in addition to whatever the discounted price is as well. So Joseph, yep, you're talking to Anthony, good. Millennial Profit, he's showing how to start eBay store less than 100 and use Kohl's, TJ Maxx, Burlington, so I can make money if I buy new stuff at clearance. Right? Yeah, tons of people do that. Tons. So you just have to find what's going to be working for you. It's a lot more capital intensive. You're not paying $1 per item. Your price per item goes up drastically. But yes, you can do that as well. Okay, you are talking to Anthony. Jamie says, great information. Thank you, Bo. You're welcome, Jamie. And Kathleen, you say thank you. Yes, I appreciate you. I want to get into the conclusion of this, and I want to go into what things that I did in my business to help reignite some sales. So step 5 is reinvest and learn from experience. Now that your reselling business is up and running, it's time for you to focus on taking it to the next level. One of the best ways to do that is by reinvesting your profits back into the business. I've been doing this since I started, and I will say it's the only way I've been able to grow the business. So this can help you grow your inventory, expand your reach, and increase your sales. To make the most of your profits, it's important that you stay lean and cut back on personal expenses. Consider reinvesting profits in areas such as sourcing, marketing, and professional development. Very good. For example, you can attend a reselling conference or take a course on social media marketing. Another key to success is continuously learning from your experiences. Keep track of what's working and what's not, and be open to trying new strategies and approaches. You may discover new niches to explore or new platforms to sell on. As you learn and grow, be sure to fine-tune your sourcing and listing process to maximize success. This may involve refining your photography skills or experimenting with different pricing strategies or optimizing your listings for search engine visibility. Remember, building a successful reselling business takes time and effort, but with the right mindset and strategies, you can achieve your goals and create a thriving business. Yeah, it is such a beautiful business model to be able to buy something for much cheaper than what the market is telling you than what that item's worth, right? So it is a great business, but it's not easy. I'm going to say that right now. You can learn as much as you want. You can have all of the knowledge, but it still takes work. It still takes going out and doing the physical work. You're not digging holes. You're not chipping concrete as far as that physical part, but there is a physical aspect of it, of sourcing, of sorting, of cleaning, all of these different things that you do need to keep up in your business. I'll just say to you guys, always keep learning, always keep adding value to yourself so you can become a person of value and be able to really take advantage of this market growing down the road. So I want to get into just my sales over the last week. We did still lower than what we normally do, but 3,146 sales is what we're sitting at right now as of 4 o'clock. So we'll probably end the week maybe around 3,300 in sales, which we're usually averaging about 3,500 to 4,000 in sales per week. But I say that week over week, we're up 26%, and our average sale price is up 26%. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I was consistently, over the last few weeks, going out and not picking up items that I was putting into my store. I was now taking the bar up, raising the bar, and being able to put items that are going to be having a higher sell-through rate, a higher average sale price, and passing up the items that would take 6 months to sell for only $5-10 profit. So I really made it a focus in my business over the last 2 weeks to only pick up items that were highly desirable, in demand, and that had a great average sale price. That is my focus from here on out. I'm still going to get a bulk of my items wholesale, but now I'm going to be setting a stricter standard as to what is a bottom line sell-through rate and what is the bottom line average sale price for the items I'm going to be putting in my store. So you guys are going to see it all behind the channel. We're going to be doing videos every day here on out, sharing you with what my experience is, what's working, what's not, so you guys can really take advantage of what I'm doing and maybe learn from my mistakes and go, well, I'm not doing that, but I still think that people should try, especially, because we all live in different parts of the country. But that is something that I've been enjoying doing, is picking up better items. And I don't mind spending $3, $4, $5 for an item that's going to make me 50, that's going to make me 100. Those are the beautiful things. And I think I have now found a couple thrift stores that are more mom and pop thrift stores that I can actually start implementing into my sourcing route. So, beautiful. Still nowhere near where I want to be as a reseller, but I will say the worst is behind us. July is always the worst months for retail, for e-commerce. July is not the best month, but now you're seeing kids go back to school. You're seeing more and more activity with online shopping. So just stay committed to your process. Take some of those keys, whether you're a beginner or an intermediate, and maybe you need to look at some of those processes in your business and go, maybe I can move my desk over here so I could be listing a little bit more efficiently. Maybe I need to buy some new lights for my photography setup so I can create a different kind of effect with my photo quality. Maybe I need to develop a different sourcing route to be able to pick up better items because the items I'm putting in my store now suck. So those are the things you got to reevaluate in your business. It's the basics that we need to focus on as resellers to really set a solid foundation under us, because I tell you, if we're lacking in one of those things, our business will crumble. If we're lacking in our listings, it's going to crumble. If we're lacking in our sourcing, what do you think is going to happen? If we're lacking in our photos and we're not taking our photos that we need to take every day, who's doing the listings? So look at the basics that you're doing in your business. Always look to refine your processes to make them better and more efficient for yourself. That is what I've been doing, and I think that is what is going to be contributing to more sales and hopefully a higher average sale price. We're sitting at about $24.25 for the entire year. Buy cost about $1.17 per item. So that's where I'm at, but I don't mind raising my cost of goods at all. Gem Drop says, I ask resellers this question a lot. What is a good car for reselling? To me, that means mileage, reliability, and space in trunk in an urban city. Also, how much should be spent? Less than $5K? That is just going to depend. I live in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, and I have a huge Suburban, and my wife drives a Lexus car. So they work for us. I've always considered buying maybe a box van down the road, but that's just because I buy a lot. But yeah, I always think that the tried and true anything Toyota is going to be probably the best, just because they last the longest on the road. But that's going to be up to you. And putting a $5,000 budget on something might not buy you the most reliable vehicle. So, but yeah, if anyone has suggestions, put them in the comments, because that's where I'm at. I like the Suburban, even though it gets 8 miles to the gallon. It's okay because I can put a lot of items in there. Yosef, you said, what did you do from the start looking back? Now you look for clothes that sell for $15, $30 profit. When I first started, I was just picking up basically anything. And now I'm at a point where, hey, I'm listing 50 items a day, so I'm going to start putting in items that are going to be that I'm going to be paying a little bit more for, but they're going to have a better average sale price and a better sell-through rate. So my cost of goods is going to go up. That's totally fine, just as long as I'm actually getting items that are desirable, in demand, with good average sale price. So before, I was kind of just especially when I first started, I was just picking up any Nike, any Hollister, any Air Apostle, and it's like, no, don't do that. So always reanalyzing and looking at my business. And now over the last month, I'm going to keep getting wholesale, but now the items that I get in for my wholesale, I may be discarding 40% of those items because now they don't meet my metrics. So that is kind of what I do. So many ways to do this. So many ways to run your business. Run it how you want to run it. If someone's telling you like this is the only way, there's no one way. But you do want to take some tips and some gold nuggets from other resellers and start applying them into your business to see if they even work. So Jared says, thank you. Yeah, appreciate you, Jared. I will get in touch with you. 2005 Suburban. Woo, I got a 2004, the best. Less electronics in those older vehicles, and it runs beautifully. So yeah, even though the gas is not the best. Gem Drop says that we'll have a lot of space. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions and you're catching this on the replay, just leave them down below. I'm here to help you guys. I'm here to help answer any questions that you may have. And if I don't answer them in tomorrow's video, it will be answered in a video down the road. So if you guys are looking for maybe a little bit of accountability and you're thinking about getting, taking the next step in your business, you want to check out linked down below where Marcus Dixon and I have a reseller mentorship. We have a little over 50 members growing their stores, implementing the same tips and strategies that helped us do a little over $320,000 in sales on eBay last year. Included in that is a reseller spreadsheet, an item specifics guide, a BOLO brand list, and 9 hours a week of Zoom coaching. He does the morning call, and I do the evening call. We're here to help you guys go further, faster in your resale business. We'd love to see you there. There's a 7-day free trial. Try it out. If you don't like it, that is okay. Thanks for giving it a shot. Appreciate you all. I hope you all have a blessed rest of the Sunday. Keep encouraged. Keep on with your vision, and just keep going. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.